Welcome to the deep dive. We take complex topics, sift through expert sources, and basically pull out the core knowledge you need. And today, it's hair care. If you've ever felt like totally lost scrolling through advice protein this, serum that, maybe just, I don't know, eat more avocados, you know how confusing it gets. So, our mission today, give you that solid evidence-based strategy for genuinely healthy, strong hair. And the big shift, the main idea we found, it starts way before the hair strand itself.
Okay, let's unpack this. The sources are really clear. Real hair care kicks off with scalp health. That's the environment, the foundation for everything. Growth, strength, how it looks.
Exactly. It really is the root of the issue, literally.
Right.
Recent dermatology reviews, the big ones, they keep highlighting two things. Keeping that scalp barrier healthy and minimizing inflammation, those are the absolute must-dos. Think of it like soil for a plant. If the soil's stressed out and unhealthy, the plant, your hair, it's just not going to thrive.
Right. So it's basically treating your scalp like skin because, well, it is skin, precisely. And the evidence shows this focus works, and pretty quickly, too. By being gentle, using mild pH balanced stuff, the sources say you can really cut down on that water loss, TEWL, transepidermal water loss. And you can support the barrier healing up. What's really cool is you might notice real improvements, like better moisture, feeling more comfortable, in just, say, 2 to 4 weeks if you stick with it.
Okay, 2 to 4 weeks is fast. But how does someone listening know they're actually reducing TEWL, like without lab gear? What's the feeling?
That's a great question. It's more about what you don't feel. Less tightness, less flaking. And probably the biggest one is you just don't feel that constant urge to scratch, that itchiness calms down. If your scalp feels calm and comfortable, you're likely winning that TEW battle.
Fantastic. Okay, so let's get practical. Hygiene first. We all just jump in the shower. But the research has some specific rules, starting with, believe it or not, water temperature.
Lukewarm. It's the undeniable sweet spot. I know a super hot shower feels great, especially when it's cold out, but that heat is just. It works against your scalp barrier. Hot water strips away those protective natural oils, those lipids. That ramps up TEWL almost instantly and, kind of ironically, often makes itchiness and flaking worse down the line. So yeah, lukewarm water cleans well enough without wrecking that crucial lipid layer.
And the stripping danger doesn't end there, right? It's also about the shampoo itself. It's not just about avoiding sulfates anymore, is it?
No, it's broader than that. It's about how mild the whole cleansing system is. The recommendation now really leans towards sulfate-free cleansers or ones using surfactants that are proven to be gentle. So on the label, you might look for things like glucosides or ingredients based on coco oil or isethionate derivatives. Yeah. These clean effectively. They grab the oil and dirt, but they don't aggressively strip away all those essential scalp lipids.
Okay, got the right temp, got the right gentle cleanser. What about how we wash? The sources mention a specific two-step wash technique. Can you walk us through that?
Sure. It's probably different from how most people do it. The idea is to focus the actual washing, the scrubbing action, almost entirely on the scalp. So you apply the product, work it in gently, massage just the scalp for maybe 20, 30 seconds. And then, this is key, you let the rinse off, the water and suds running down, cleanse the lengths and ends.
Ah, okay. So why separate it like that? Why not just lather everything up?
Because the hair further down, your lengths and ends, that's the oldest, most fragile part. Rubbing and scrubbing there just adds friction, mechanical damage, basically unnecessary wear and tear. By focusing the main cleanse on the scalp, you get a clean environment for growth, but you protect those weaker ends.
That makes a lot of sense. But what if you have really oily hair or use a ton of styling products? Does that gentle rinse off really cut it?
Good point. For those cases, the sources suggest maybe alternating your approach. Instead of a deep scrub every day, maybe try a light cleanse most days, and then do a slightly deeper cleanse, maybe with a gentle clarifying agent or scalp scrub, just once a week. It's about finding that balance between keeping things clean and not constantly stripping the scalp.
Okay, so we've built the foundation. Healthy scalp, gentle cleansing. Now, what about actively strengthening the hair itself? This is where it gets really interesting, moving into repair ingredients.
Right. Now we're talking about the structure of the hair strand. Hair naturally has lipids, these fats, but damage, heat, chemicals, even just the environment, it depletes them. So to rebuild that sort of protective seal and help the hair hold on to moisture, you need specific barrier repairing lipids.
Okay, lipids. Which ones should we actually be looking for on ingredient lists?
You want to see things like ceramides, cholesterol, and also lipid-rich emollients. Squalane is a good example. Think of them like like the mortar between the bricks of your hair's outer layer, the cuticle. They fill in the gaps, smooth things down, make it harder for moisture to escape. Studies show that using these kinds of lipid systems can really improve water retention and elasticity, sometimes quite noticeably within weeks.
Great analogy. But practically, if we're using these richer ingredients, how do we avoid ending up with, greasy, weighed down hair?
Ah, yes. Targeted application is crucial. A lightweight conditioner with these lipids, that goes mostly on the mid-lengths and ends. Really try to avoid the scalp unless it's exceptionally dry. And then maybe schedule a weekly deep treatment like a hair mask for 10, maybe 20 minutes. These masks ideally combine humectants, things like glycerin or allopolyols that pull water in with occlusives, like maybe shea butter or coco's nucifera oil, to seal that moisture in. This deep conditioning step is really important for elasticity, especially if your hair is dry, curly, or has been chemically treated.
Okay, lipids for moisture and barrier. Then there's structure, which brings us to the whole protein-moisture balance thing. It sounds tricky. What do these hydrolyzed proteins actually do?
Hydrolyzed proteins like keratin, silk, soy, and also smaller peptides, they're essentially like tiny patches or reinforcements. When hair gets damaged, it develops these little weak spots or gaps. These small protein bits can temporarily fill those gaps in the hair's structure, both the outer cuticle and the inner cortex. This makes the hair stronger, increases its tensile strength, meaning how much it can stretch before it snaps. And yeah, the cosmetic science data shows you can see real improvements, like less breakage, usually within about 4 to 8 weeks of using them correctly.
That's the upside. But you hear horror stories about protein overload. How does that happen? What does it feel like if you get it wrong?
Yeah, it's a really common mistake. Basically, too much protein without enough moisture makes hair feel stiff, brittle, almost like straw. If you overdo the protein, the hair strands become too rigid. They lose their flexibility, their pliability. So instead of stretching when you brush or style, they just snap. It often creeps up on you. It's cumulative.
So who needs to be most careful with protein then?
Generally speaking, people with fine hair or low porosity hair. Their hair cuticle is naturally tighter, so protein tends to just sit on the surface and can cause that stiffness much faster. They need protein less often. On the other hand, coarse hair, high porosity hair, or chemically damaged hair often has a more open cuticle and actually needs more regular protein to help maintain its structure. And if you're worried about heaviness but need some reinforcement, those targeted peptide serums can be a great option. They offer strengthening without the potential buildup of larger proteins.
That balance is definitely key. Okay, so we're building strength, but it's kind of pointless if we then wreck it all during styling, right? Let's talk defense. Rule number 1 seems pretty clear. Always use protection.
Absolutely. If heat touches your hair, a heat protectant needs to be on it first. The best ones usually contain ingredients like silicones, other film-forming agents, or polymers that activate with heat. These create a sort of buffer layer on the hair. It slows down how quickly the heat penetrates the strand, helping to protect the cuticle and the internal proteins.
Is there a magic temperature limit we should remember? Like for flat irons or curling wands? Give us a number.
Yes, there's a pretty consistent recommendation from the sources. Try to stay below 180 degrees Celsius, which is 350 Fahrenheit. Going hotter than that really starts to speed up the breakdown of the proteins inside the hair, and that kills elasticity. Hair drying or using a diffuser on low is always better if you can, but if you use heat, keep it moderate and move quickly.
Okay, heat protection is sorted. What about just like daily wear and tear, brushing, ponytails? That mechanical damage adds up, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It's cumulative. 2 simple things make a huge difference. First, how you detangle. Always start from the ends and gently work your way up. Use a wide-tooth comb or a brush made for wet detangling. Don't just rip through knots from the root down. Second, think about protective styles, especially overnight or on active days. Loose braids, maybe a bun secured with a soft scrunchie, preferably silk or satin. These reduce friction and constant tension on the hair shaft. It preserves integrity over the long haul.
And then there are the invisible attackers, UV rays and pollution, stuff we don't always think about for hair.
Right, these are hidden stressors causing oxidative damage. UV light degrades protein and fades color, especially if your hair is already porous or treated. So you need defense here too.
Yeah.
Think UV filter sprays for your hair, or just wearing a hat if you'll be in the sun for a long time. And look for antioxidants in your leave-in products, things like vitamin E derivatives, maybe polyphenols. They help neutralize those damaging free radicals from pollution, especially if you live in a city.
Good tip. What about swimmers? Pool or ocean?
Oh, definitely rinse your hair thoroughly with fresh water as soon as you get out. Chlorine, salt, Even sunscreen residue, if that stuff sits on your hair, it causes major buildup, messes with porosity, and leaves hair feeling really dry, stiff, and just hard to manage. Now, what's fascinating and maybe a bit daunting is that even knowing all this about ingredients and techniques, it's not one size fits all. You absolutely have to personalize your routine. Your hair type, straight, wavy, curly, coily, and its porosity, how easily it absorbs and holds moisture. Those factors have to guide what products you choose.
Right, that makes total sense. Like, my fine, fairly straight hair would be a greasy mess with products designed for someone with really tight coils.
Exactly. Curly and coily hair types, just because of their structure, tend to be drier and need much richer moisturizers, heavier creams or oils to keep their shape and fight frizz. Straight hair usually needs lighter stuff, maybe volumizers, to avoid getting weighed down.
And porosity is key there, too. You mentioned a simple test for that.
Yeah, the strand wetting test is pretty easy. You just see how quickly a clean strand of your hair absorbs water. If it sinks fast or gets wet instantly, that's high porosity. It drinks moisture but loses it fast, so you need thicker sealants. If the water beads up and it takes ages to feel wet, that's low porosity. It resists moisture, so you need lighter products. Maybe use a bit of gentle heat with conditioners to help them penetrate. Otherwise, products just sit on top.
Okay, so we figure out type and porosity, and then the seasons change and mess everything up. We actually need to adjust based on the weather.
You really do. It's mostly down to humidity in the air. Summer usually means higher humidity, so you might need lighter oils, maybe wash a bit more often because of sweat, and generally favor formulas that aren't too heavy or greasy. The air is helping keep some moisture in. Winter is the opposite challenge. Indoor heating creates super dry air. That sucks moisture out of everything, including your hair and scalp. So winter demands richer moisturizers, maybe heavier butters or creams acting as occlusives to lock moisture in. You might even find you need to wash less often in winter to avoid overdrying an already stressed scalp.
Wow, okay. So navigating all this, especially with product marketing being so intense, what's the best way for someone listening to actually judge if a product is likely to work beyond the hype?
You have to try and lean on the evidence. Look for those key ingredients we talked about, ceramides, specific lipids, hydrolyzed proteins where there's some actual data, and try to look beyond just the ingredient list buzzwords if you can. Is there any mention of independent testing? Consumer studies. Does the brand reference any dermatological data measuring things like reduced water loss, TEWL, or increased tensile strength? That kind of backup separates effective formulas from just marketing fluff. And if you're troubleshooting, say your hair suddenly feels brittle, be patient. If you think it's maybe protein overload, make one change, like swapping out your protein treatment for a deep conditioner, and then give it time. Monitor how your hair responds for at least 6 to 8 weeks before you change something else. It's a slow process.
Right, patience is key. So bringing it all together, if someone feels overwhelmed right now, what's the best starting sequence? How do they begin implementing this tomorrow? The sources seem to suggest a stepwise approach is best. Start with nailing down that gentle, pH-balanced cleansing routine. Get the scalp happy first.
Exactly. Then step 2, gradually add in a good lipid-rich conditioner, focusing it on the mid-lengths and ends. Address the moisture needs.
And then finally, layer in the structural support, getting that protein-moisture balance right, and the protection piece, so consistently using heat and UV protectants.
Okay, so what does this all really boil down to? It seems the path to great hair isn't about some magic bullet product. It's about mastering these core principles, really focusing on your scalp health as the foundation, using those targeted lipids and proteins smartly for moisture and strength, and then being consistent with protecting your hair from heat and the environment. Absolutely. And, while we've gone deep on ingredients and routines today, something the source materials kept emphasizing is how ingredients interact and the potential for buildup. These are critical factors that can undermine everything else. So maybe the final thought to leave you with is this. Look at the products you're using right now, your shampoo, conditioner, leave-in, styler. Given everything we've discussed, what specific ingredient interaction might be happening there? Are they truly working together, synergistically? Or could they be canceling each other out, or maybe causing buildup you hadn't considered? Investigating that next layer might be your key to really unlocking your best hair.